Okay, introducing next on my radio show now, syndicated radio show and podcasts. We are accepting my invitation to join me. I'm here to interview musician Shelley Hamilton. First up, very nice to have you with me, Shelley, and welcome to my show. How are you today?
Oh, I'm great. It's so great to be here with you. You gave me a good reason to get up in the morning.
Great. Well, very good morning to you in your part of the world. Where are you situated in the world at present?
I'm presently in Toronto, Canada.
Oh, great. They call that the six. Is that right? The
That is
six.
correct. I am coming to you directly from the six.
Awesome. And I just wanted to get you on my show to chat about your new single release. You're promoting it's called Carry On. Is that right? Carry
Yeah,
On.
carry on.
And it's described as being like a country music song with a bit of a fusion crossover with a Jamaican reggae as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that, sometimes when people think of country, they instantly think, "Oh, I don't like that." And I'm here to let people know that really country is really a state of mind. It's just more also a feeling and an emotion. And if the music feels good, it doesn't mean it necessarily is a genre. Maybe it's just a piece of music you like. And when I was approached by the group Reggaddiction that I did this piece with, they are of that same mind. Here it is, a Canadian country reggae group whose history and roots also are country music. And it seemed a real logical fit based on the history and just melding cultures and melding
Mm.
ideas about music and where it comes from. So it was a really great fit to fuse that history together. And for me as a Canadian and knowing some of my history from my ancestors is also Jamaican roots as well. So having a chance to do a song to fuse those kind of genres together is almost a chance to also reconnect with my own history and lineage. So I think it's really fun for people to listen to pieces of music like that and open their minds up to what a genre of music can
Mm.
be.
Fabulous. And here in the UK, we had a genre called ska reggae that was like two-tone, very popular, like crossing over.
Exactly. So when you hear, well, like when you tell a story like that, right, there's an example of when we talk about these crossovers in music, it lends to it to be kind of logical that, how could it not have that fusion or that also other element? And then as like with the history of ska, once those fusions were obviously introduced to people, people embraced it.
Mm.
And that's what we do. We want people to open their minds up to what they think a type or a genre of music is. And then suddenly that gives an invitation for more people to love it.
That's fantastic. Great to hear. And Carry On, it's a positively strong number. And do you feel this track really showcases like, your music?
I think this track is an opportunity to give people a taste of my music. My music as a person who is a country artist, but is also very heavily influenced by the other genres of music that influence country, because I've done all of those genres over the years as an artist. It's an opportunity for me to show an example of that. And then as I release more music and give more music story, people can see that I take facets of the music I have been influenced by, and that becomes a part of my musical story. But the primary story right now has been more country music because those are also my roots and where I'm from. And doing that, like artists get a chance to introduce themselves to people when we do that. So doing this right now in country is allowing me to do that. So I think with each song I'm releasing, I'm letting people know a little bit more and more about me and what I do with music, which is really fun
Yeah.
right now.
Great. So Carry On, I guess it really is a taster with plenty more to come in the pipeline.
Yes, for sure.
Brill. Next question I wanted to ask, did you play or any instruments, like musical instruments on this track at all?
No, I didn't play any music on this track. Like I have played music before on some of the releases that I've done, but in this regard, I wanted to be able to infuse myself artistically what I do vocally. I think
Mhm.
each time I go into the studio, all depending on the piece of music and what I'm doing with that piece of music is what my task is, I guess, for lack of better words. Sometimes, as the artist, I'm also producing.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'm also the writer and the producer, and sometimes I might be the instrumentalist. But I prefer to have other people come in and give me their interpretation about the music that I've written,
Yeah.
because that lends that lends it to be more open. That lends it to be my interpretation of what I thought it was going to sound. Someone else can bring something in and bring it to 2.0. So it all depends on the song and what is going to happen. I like that process because it can be very organic and surprising for me as the artist as
Yeah.
well.
Thanks for answering that question. I
Yeah.
know as a singer, there's much more to be in that. There's more facets to have behind the scenes, when you're making records, as you say, writing the songs and producing your own songs as well.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Brill. And have you traveled the world doing, music? And if so, what place has been one of your highlights to perform or visit?
Oh wow, that's so funny. For me as an artist, as a little kid, I always looked out. I grew up on the water. I grew up in Nova Scotia on the east coast of Canada, and I remember as a young kid looking out into the water, and I thought, someday I know that there's a world out there bigger than just that water, because you'd see it and you just knew there was some world beyond there. So I've been really lucky. I have had a chance to travel internationally with my work. And I've been to and worked in some really surprising places, which opens yourself up artistically, which is really great. I'd say, I have to say, still, my favorite place has been Japan, just because it was also a big cultural experience for me. I lived and worked there for 4 months. So I had a chance to learn language and learn culture and have respect for traditions and language that I would have never had a chance to experience. It was so opposite of being a North American or being Canadian, but then opening yourself up to respecting those traditions, them wanting to know yours and your language and having this beautiful relationship. And I think that was my real introduction to the power of music, to be in such a cultural landscape that is so different from mine and singing music that for the majority of people in my audiences and where I was, they didn't understand a lot of the English, but they loved the music. And when they would come up to us afterwards, there was complete barrier of communication. There was no language we could speak except physical communication and in our eyes. And that really made me realize the power of music when we cannot speak each other's language speaks
Mm.
volumes, which is why I'm so fortunate to have those moments where you literally can be in a completely different culture, but that music will move you. And that reaffirms what we can do as artists without having a language to speak. Our language is still the music. And I'm so grateful to have those moments, because that allows us as artists to understand really our purpose, those lessons of what we can do as artists, that power of not having one single word to communicate with one another, but they heard volumes in the music. Yeah.
Agreed. It's very true to say music is a universal language. How did you find the food over there, the cuisine?
Oh, I found it exemplary. I mean, everywhere I've traveled, I've loved what the musical landscape is giving me and what the food landscape is giving me as well. I mean, I've done Dubai, I've done Japan, I've done all over Europe, I've done all over North America, I've done the Caribbean. I mean, everywhere I've gone, Latin America, Cuba, Spain, Panama, every single area gave me something that made me go, wow, so wonderful, so interesting. Then as an artist, you get to take all of those things that you got to experience and bring them into your landscape as you travel and work as an audience with the audiences and let them share your experiences with you. So when you become a musician that's also been a traveler, people get to travel with you. You know, I love being able to travel and go, I just came from blah, blah, blah. And they said hi, and you're literally bringing that energy and that experience with everyone. So right now, it's more so I've been staying here and hunkered down in Canada. But when the music starts amping up again, I'm really looking forward to getting back out there and saying hi to everyone.
That's really fascinating to hear, but fabulous at the same time.
Yes, thank you.
Next question I wanted to ask, Hold On, We're Going Home is a beautiful
Yeah.
song. You did a duet with that with Stella Panacci, if my pronunciation's correct. Was that a cover version from a fellow Canadian, The Weekend?
Yes, it was done. My inspiration for the song came from hearing Drake do that tune. And when Drake did the song, I've always heard it as a country tune. I always heard a country fusion of it. So I thought it would be really interesting to try to do it with that type of reggae vibe, a different type of feel. So when I recorded that piece and wanted that type of arrangement, I wanted a woman to interpret it, to tell a man that when you come home, my place and where my heart is your safe place to fall. And I think for men to feel that type of vulnerability and to hear it as a woman interpreting it is, I think it's a really nice juxtaposition artistically to do something like that musically. And my favorite compliment is when people hear a piece of music and they go, I didn't know that was that song. I don't usually like that song or that piece of music, but I like what you did with it. And it goes back to what we just said at the beginning of our conversation. If we can open people's minds up to how they hear music and how they feel it, maybe what you thought you didn't like, you might like it a different way as well. So
that's true. I think someone said to me, essentially in music, there's no right or wrong answer, whatever works to that individual listener.
exactly. I think that's how people can look more at music and more what they like artistically as well.
Sure thing. How did you find singing alongside with Mary Clayton, who featured on the Rolling Stones classic Give Me Shelter at the 10th anniversary of the classic albums live in Toronto? How was that experience?
That was pretty iconic. I mean, you have moments in your life where you know that that's a magical moment, but you don't realize it's a magical moment. Um, Before I met her and then meeting her, you realize that you are with an energy of grace and also history, and she completely owned that as well. So when you sing with someone as iconic as Mary Clayton, you just let them lead and you follow. And I'm really glad that I have a picture of her and I together, and she's in the front and I'm on the side and the back. And when I look at that picture, I think that's exactly the way it should be. The queen is leading and I am following. And so she just gave me such grace and energy. And of course, her voice is so powerful. When you go back and listen to that song afterwards, you realize you stood beside that incredible energy, that piece of history, right? She's history. So yeah, really, really powerful moment.
That's wowness, wowness.
Yeah, it really is.
Mm. Oh, yeah, sorry. I wanted to ask you as
Sorry, I
well.
just had a.
Yeah,
Sorry, I don't mean to interject, but
yeah.
I just talking about like lineage and legacy. That sync kind of moment just happened recently, because I was on stage recently with country artist Mickey Guyton, who is very iconic in her own right, and she's like that future generation of country artists leading the way.
Mm.
And Beyonce gave her flowers to say thank you for leading the way for women in country music. So it's that sort of thing when you have history and lineage, past, present, it's all very iconic. It's all very powerful.
Yeah.
Really an honor to be a part of it.
Amazing. Just a couple more questions to go. I wanted to ask you, do you have any artists on your radar that you wish to collaborate with? I know Beyonce is succeeding in the country and Western music world. Is that refreshing to see like black artists breaking through many musical genres?
Well, yeah, just like I was saying, the woman that I got a chance to even sing on stage with, Mickey Guyton, that was a huge goal that you just don't think is ever going to happen. So if there was a chance to collaborate with her in the future, of course that would be incredible, because I've known her as an artist for years, and I know our voices would meld really well. I look at my other iconic Canadian sisters like Alison Russell, who's not only Juno Award winning here in Canada, but the equivalent Grammy winning also in the US. She's a Canadian artist that I would love to work with because of who she is as an artist, her music, her voice, her brilliance. There are so many other artists in the US as well that I would love to work with. I mean, Brandy Carlisle, just offhand. But fantasy goals and life goals, when we put those into existence, those things can be created just by saying, the more these beautiful collaborative artists we get to meet and connect with, the more that creates the possibility of even what didn't you think of collaborating with? Those other people can come out of the woodwork as well. For example, an artist that I met recently last year at the Winnipeg Folk Festival, Leon Timbo, his artistry is so huge and prolific. He would be a wonderful artist to do a duo with. So you meet these artists that are also making their own way, making leaps and bounds themselves, that by collaborating together, we bring more power and more insight to what we're doing as Black artists in the genre as well. So to meet and to work with these type of artists, Roberta Lee is another artist in the U.S. that's gaining retention as a Black artist in the field. We see these other people, and like I said, when Beyonce gave Mickey Guyton flowers, that was her saying, thank you for being that Black female artist that was showing other people before Beyonce even did. So that full circle moment for me to meet her, Beyonce giving her flowers, we need to see that, because the more we see of that, the more we understand all of these wonderful musical connections in that genre. And it expands us to think about, what do those artists sound like? What voice do they have? What kind of sound do they have in country music? That's what I do when I listen to music now. I don't think about them as anything but, I wonder what they sound like as an artist. Maybe I'll like it. Which comes back to the beginning of our conversation, right? Like just listen to it. You just might like it instead of thinking, I don't like country.
It's amazing speaking with you today, and I think it's really important that people still talk about the topics we've talked and creating awareness. Getting that message out there, and I feel your passion for it, which is great to have as an artist these days.
Yeah, it really is. I feel so fortunate that my insight and my artistry and what I do, there always has been a conversation about hearing the stories about it and how people feel about the music as well. And I think that's just another component. And it's not to make music in something as an intelligent conversation, but I think that when we listen to music intelligently and we start looking at it from that perspective of, what haven't I really listened to before, maybe I can open my mind up to see what I would like in that genre. I mean, I've done that myself with like elements of rock where I went, oh, I don't like that type of rock music, and then I ended up finding an artist that in that genre I like that. So it doesn't matter what the genre is, it's the artist.
That's it. And Shelley, I just wanted to ask you, where's best to follow you on, like, say, social media, or if you have a website, where's best to plug that?
Right now, if you want to find me, you can find me at Shelley Hamilton Music on all platforms, and that's at SHELLEY Hamilton, like the play, music. And I'd love to hear from people. Connect, send me a message. I always love the connection of people. That's how we find out more about each other, through this art.
Coolio. Brilliant. Thanks for joining me on today. I've got time just to spin your new track. Would you like to quickly introduce it on for me, please?
Oh, yes. Hey, everyone. It's Shelley Hamilton here, and I'm glad to introduce my new song, Carry On.
Thanks, Shelley, for a great interview.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.
Take care.